During a break on MediaBuzz the other day, I was sitting around with a panel of journalists talking about how I tried to cram in so much into the first 9 or 10 minute block, all the Trump-related investigations and counter-investigations and allegations and on and on and on. And one of the panelists said, you know, I just can't keep up with all of this anymore. And everybody commiserated because, you know, we do this for a living. I do this 24 hours a day, it seems. Certainly if you get up with the president's tweets, it seems like a 24-hour day. And, you know, to get down into the weeds about every one of the charges and countercharges, it is impossible for any one journalist to keep it all in your head. And that made me feel, well, what about folks out there who don't know the difference between George Papadopoulos and Carter Page, who have jobs and kids and lives and obligations and are only sort of faintly following this? What do they think? And I think for a lot of you out there, it's become background noise. It's become, I think a lot of people are tuning it out. And I think to the extent that's true, then the central investigation, the Mueller investigation, Russia, collusion, obstruction, whatever, that we in the press often portray as threatening Donald Trump's political future, it just doesn't seem that way to people having trouble following it, or a lot of this cancels each other out. So, for example, you've got the Mueller investigation. Here's one small example. Rudy Giuliani tells the New York Times, well, Mueller's team told me that if we provided the president for an interview, he would, barring unforeseen circumstances, wrap this thing up by September 1st. And then yesterday, an unnamed U.S. official told Reuters that's completely made up. And Mueller hasn't committed to any timeline, and not until he finishes his work. And so you look at the lengthy New York Times piece on the origin of the FBI surveillance of 2 Trump campaign aides, 2 or 3, during the campaign over alleged contacts with Russia or suspected contacts with Russia. And then it turns out that there's an FBI informant, according to the New York Times and the Washington Post, whose safety would be jeopardized if they revealed the name. But they tell you so much about this guy, retired academic, American professor in London, that it wasn't hard to figure out, and some smaller outlets put that out. And now the mainstream media are kind of protecting a secret that is no longer a secret. Trump's tweeting about it, saying we need to hear more about this. There needs to be an investigation. Rod Rosenstein, who's, of course, a Trump appointee as Deputy Attorney General, goes along. Now the Justice IG is looking at that. You've got all of that. You've got this other Times story that the president pronounced boring, having to do with Donald Trump Jr. meeting. This is not the Russian meeting with Trump Tower, but meeting with an envoy representing 2 wealthy Arab princes. I mean, in each case, you have to drill down and you have to listen to both sides. And one side says that Trump has completely shattered the presidential norms and he's calling for renewed investigations of Hillary Clinton and the brother of her campaign chairman. And on the other side, commentators and journalists are saying this is the deep state and they were out to get Trump from the beginning, FBI misconduct, DOJ misconduct, president is right, something needs to be done about this, investigating the investigators. All of which is to make the point, and by the way, I didn't even get into Michael Cohen, Michael Avenatti, Stormy Daniels, Hush Money, and all of that, that there are important issues at stake here. But it has become so cloudy, such a morass, with so much partisanship and investigations that go on forever and counter-investigations, that it really is hard to sort of steer a middle course to absorb all of this. And that's why I think President's approval ratings may be inching up, because I think people are happy with the economy. They may be happy with some other things. And they're just not hanging on every single thread of this story. And the honest truth is, most journalists are finding it difficult to do that as well.